Perfect. All right. So why don't you go back into speech therapy? So you've got some mobility back. So now let's get the words back. So how did
Yeah,
speech
get the words back.
therapy? Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, that was a whole deal doing that. But yeah, no. So like I mentioned before, I couldn't say more than three syllable words or anything like that. Like longer words, I've really struggled with, or my enunciation as well. Um, and I still have some of that, I guess, ingrained in my voice a little bit. I'll say or I'll pause a lot. And I don't, it's not, I don't intend to. It's just more that I felt that I can't, I could definitely think the words that I wanted to say. That wasn't a massive issue,
Uh,
but it's more just that communication from the brain to the mouth and
yeah,
actually getting those words out,
yeah.
which I really sort of struggled with. So there's still some of that lingering there, but now I can, enunciate and speak, properly again. But it was definitely a build up to doing that and certain exercises to sort of, get the muscle of the tongue moving as well and synchronizing any of the movements of like, coming from the vocal cords to making a sound to the movement of the tongue and articulating that with the movement of the lips because I would find that I'd mumble a lot because of it was just all a bit out of sync, a bit out of whack there. So I was doing that as well as I started doing some physical therapy um, off by memory just at our local hospital, which the facility would be set up for I guess anyone that needed the physical therapy, but it was along the same guidelines as someone that had had a stroke. So being on the walking beams, trying to get my legs sort of
I
working as well together. And like I said, doing some small work around with my dad, and that would build up to over the coming months of me being able to I guess just move by myself again and just getting out doing things. I wasn't up to running yet. That
yeah.
took a few months to get to,
Okay.
and the fine motor skills of my hand, my fingers, and my right side, particularly that coordination, wasn't really great. My wrist as well wasn't really moving. So instead of it all flowing and moving as one
Hmm.
I guess one sort of motor function, it would
Right.
be kind of like lack of a better word, like a Lego figure moving and grabbing something. I wouldn't really be moving the wrists around
You
and
couldn't connect. The connection wasn't there yet. It was
yeah,
very
yeah,
abrupt movements.
yeah, that's way better way of describing it.
Okay.
But when I got
Was there a
to a
moment, like,
certain,
was there a moment that, yeah, as you're doing this, that you were almost just like, I don't think I can? Or were you always
the,
in this kind of positivity that you're like, I can do this. I know I can, or you just went into like a depression state?
I think particularly at the start, there was a depression state and my dad had probably backed this up too, of I'll do that when I get better. And
Hmm.
I thought originally it would just be sort of a passive of time thing rather than a physically, I guess sort of rehabilitating it like an injury. Um, that was particularly at the start I had that of coming out of the hospital and getting to re. I was like, oh, I'll do that, when I'm better. Whereas when I moved into it more and more, it was, actually doing the thing over and over, however small it was, just the repetition of it made just a world of difference. And it got to a stage where I think after 3 months after my surgery, I was allowed to drive again, very short distances.
Okay.
And I got myself going to the gym, just by myself, regularly. So by that time, I'd been out of school for,
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure the whole winter. I was of out of school. So that was pretty much out the window. I didn't think I was going to graduate, even though we had some communication with the school saying like, okay, well, because of his circumstance, he's still going to graduate and get the average of the year mark wise, which didn't
Right.
happen.
Okay.
But I pretty much thrown that out the window. I said, right, I'm going to get my body right. So I abused going to the gym. Like thoroughly, getting the muscles back firing on my right
Mhm.
side particularly, and doing training in any way I could, just in that area, whether it be like focusing on my leg or focusing on my arm or, the front section or of my body, any push movements, pull movements, as well as those fine motor skills that I had been prescribed to do sort of, it'd be a lot of exercises just with a ball. I guess there's the
Yeah,
fine finger movements and that wrist movement as well. So doing that. Um, and yeah, so it was just that progression of doing that. And that didn't, it never fully came back in a sense of, it was never like it was before, particularly that fine motor function. But
right.
by that point, I was so comfortable using my left hand, really. Like if I pick up my phone or anything now, I still to this day, which has been what 12, almost 12 years now, I still favor um, my left side. Just I don't even think about it.
It's
I pick up my
interesting how
phone,
it's like
left
that.
hand, yeah, or like if I pick up any sort of drink bottle, it's always with my left hand. Like I
Yeah.
can use my right, but I still just go to my left, and I got so comfortable doing that that it just became like just first nature to me. That was like my first go-to. So
Well, let me tell you, just
even
as
years
somebody
later,
who's like left-handed, but like the mouse is on the right, when you get into jobs, you will become so efficient and great at multitasking
oh,
because you can use
it's
like
actually
both
helped me
hands. You'll
out
be like
heaps.
great.
Yeah, oh, it's helped me out in so many um different aspects of a job I'm doing. Like if something I could do, you could I work in now commercial diving or dive construction
Okay.
for lack of like a better word. And then if there's something that you sort of have to do a bolt up with your left hand, or you have to, it'd
Yeah.
be easy to fiddle with your left hand, and you sort of have to reach around awkwardly and do it with your right. Just having that
Ability.
dexterity to do it with the left is made it so much easier on so many different levels of just random
That's great.
tasks
I
that I'd
mean,
never think that would be efficient for.
if there's one thing that comes out of this, I guess you have the ability to do that.
Yeah, it's
You're
great.
very
I
efficient
love
with
it.
that. Well,
Yeah,
let's jump really quick to I want to say really quick, but we're just gonna jump to your tumor
sure.
came
Yeah,
back. It
yeah, it
you're
did. Yeah,
you
that
thought you were gone, you thought you were done, but I think you said it was 9 years late. Was it 9 years later in 2024, your tumor, or
it,
10 years, whatever you want to call it, but your tumor returned.
10 years. Yeah,
10 years.
yeah.
So
So
yeah.
after that second surgery again, we were told that they missed a bit again,
Mm,
but they said it was either due to my condition that I had at the time where they didn't go in again, or
mhm.
they said there was no point going in because he's got no symptoms or anything. So we're just going to monitor it and see how it goes. So for
Okay.
those 10 years in between, it was yearly MRI scans. Like, it started as, it'd be monthly, then it went to 3 months, then it went 6 months, then it was yearly. So it was yearly for, um, I think since 2016 or mid 2015 it was yearly, and I just keep on going back and getting the scans done. It's like, oh, there's no change here, there's no change here, there's no change here. And then I started to get symptoms again, and I thought by that enough time had passed. I didn't think that it was anything to worry about. I was like, oh, okay. Like by that stage, I'd lived with having all of those effects from the surgery and everything for almost a third of my life by that point. So it was just normal to me. And then it's like, oh, it was fatigue. I wasn't getting enough sleep, or I was, the same thing. I was working too hard. All those things that I thought, I guess, 10 years prior. And then got the scan done. And they said, yeah, it's your tumor's come back. It was almost the exact same size that it was
What size was
back when I was
it?
17. It was about, I don't know what the coins are over there.
Do they like millimeters,
Uh,
centimeters?
yeah, how big was it in millimeters? I can't really spitball a figure because I
Okay.
might get that wrong and feed some misinformation. But in Australia, it was about the size of, in between the size of a 10 to a 20 cent piece. So I
Okay.
guess like a quarter over there maybe, or something in
Okay. But
circumference.
still a good
So
size regardless.
yeah, it was a decent size. It wasn't like a tangerine or anything
Mm-hmm.
of that magnitude. I think it was more the location of it, which is what gave me the most amount of strife. And then also, the getting sick and having the after effects of that second surgery, which really sort of muddled things up. But yeah, so I started getting all those symptoms again. Um, we got the scan done, the tumor was back, and then straight away, because I was working as a commercial diver, I straight away they said you can't be going underwater doing a job underwater. Um,
Yeah.
why you why are you going through this again? So I stopped work, halted work straight away. So I was out of work. Then ended up coming back and living with my dad,
Hmm.
and it was just a waiting game of I think about 3 to 4 months before I got my third what would eventually be my third surgery. And during that period of time, it was the same symptoms sort of would come back. Nosebleeds would happen, the lightheaded, faintingness, the lapse in my memory would happen as well, the fogginess, and then my speech went down as well. And
Hmm.
another thing sort of that threw into that was my right side started really, um, lack of a better word, mucking up a bit. So the function that I built up over those years wasn't there anymore, and that was fading. The dexterity was fading and the strength was fading. I did end up losing, I think, about 8 to 9 kilograms. So I lost a lot of body weight. Whether that was tied to the tumor or inactivity or anything like that, I never really addressed that fully. But I just sort of said, right, in my head, it was just purely waiting until I got my surgery. And this time I approached it a bit differently. So with my symptoms and all, I did document a fair bit of it, and I started putting some videos up online. So on platforms TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, I put out just like, hey, so everyone that already knows me knows that I had this 10 years ago. And I said, so I'm going through this again, but this time I'm just sort of filming everything. So
Yeah.
I do things. I try to keep as busy as I could. I got into doing some woodwork and whatnot just to keep busy, and that was what I was trying to sort of get
Okay.
out there. Even though my physical health and my mental health was declining, it was
Right.
sort of like, right, like, yeah, I'm going through this, but you know, and I was trying to advocate that to the to my audience that I was directly speaking to. Is just like you've got to keep yourself busy, and you've got to sort of give yourself a hobby, otherwise you're gonna spiral.
Yeah,
And
yep.
I documented doing that in physical tasks and whatnot. And, it'd be like, could go play. I went and played golf or something with my dad, and my balance had gotten so bad at that stage, I was just falling over. I could barely, I can't even hit the ball as straight at the best of times, but
Yeah, right.
I really,
I
really
could
couldn't hit
not
the ball
do it.
straight. Yeah.
You be
And
on
there was,
those spoof videos of people just missing the ball.
oh yeah, no, that was it. It took me a fair few goes to even hit the thing, but let alone hit it in a straight line. But there would be me sort of trying to tee up, say, the ball, and I'd be rocking back and forth, or like I'd go to put it down and I'd sort of slump over
Okay.
and fall
Lose your
over there
balance.
because, yeah, because that was getting so bad. But I documented all of that this time and just my slow decline into it. Because I think because of the surgery that I had previously and the whole after effects of it, it was better for me because I knew what I was getting myself into and I knew what was coming and knew what to prepare for mentally.
Yep.
Um, and then I ended up getting my third surgery in October of 2024,
Okay.
and that was a full reduction, completely out. So went in for
They're a
another
hundred percent.
MRI.
They got it completely out.
Yeah, this time it's 100%. That's completely out. Yeah. I went
Jeez.
for an MRI the next day and they said,
Okay.
yeah, the surgeon, I had a different surgeon this time than the one I had 10 years ago. And he said, there's nothing there. I can't see anything there,
Oh, that
but we're
sucks.
going to get one again in the year. I said, yeah, okay, I know how this goes. We'll get one again in 12 months.
Mhm.
And it was November that I got to see him of 2025, where he said, there's absolutely nothing here. If you want to, you don't have to see me again. But I recommend you get one in a year. And then after that, 10,
Mhm.
probably 10 years. So he just said, you, lack of a better word, he
Yeah.
said you're cured. And I was like, right, okay, I'm done. I'm out of it. It took 10
Yeah.
years, but I'm finished. I'm done. So that whole chapter was, sort of work closed for me.
That's that's a story, Ryan.
Yeah.
But I how you it's it sucks that it came back, but it's also telling for how you approached it. What you're talking about, you mentally approached it differently. You were able to share. This time around, social media is around. Where back in what 2013, 2014, it was growing. But you had all these
Yeah,
other
Instagram
platforms where you're like,
was
I can do it. I can document
yeah.
this to help.
It, yeah, Instagram was a place where you posted your food before you ate it and your nice
Right.
latte before you had to sit back then. Then now it's a whole different ball game out
Oh
there.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But
No, it's
yeah,
it's different.
so documenting it this time was definitely but different. And the rehabilitation from that surgery, I had all the same symptoms. So the
Mhm.
right side failing me again. This the speech actually was came back. I could speak almost in full sentences as soon as I woke up from that third surgery. It was just really the tumor that was stopping me from speaking properly. So that was really great. But physically, there was a massive amount that I had to do, and because I'd already done it all
Mhm.
before, it's sort of like, right, I know what I have to do. I
Mhm.
just got to do it, and I know that I just have to do it. So I really threw myself into it like 110%, and I couldn't go back to work for a period of 6 months after that third
Okay.
surgery. So for those 6 months, it was weaning myself off the medication that I had to be on for a fair amount of time and really just threw myself into dieting and rehabilitation
Mhm.
physically, as well as, just sort of, keeping up with just my rest and doing it sort of really proper this time and making sure that I didn't muck up as much as I possibly could have. So it became a
Okay.
real, not going to sound grave. I became a real big nerd about the whole rehabilitation side of it.
Mhm.
There was nothing else going on. So I didn't try to distract myself with this or any other sort of hobbies. It was like I just 110% threw myself into just going to the gym. I started swimming and, just really sort of trying to repair those, the neuron, oh, sorry, not the neuron, sorry, the pathways that had been disrupted from my brain to
Right.
any of my muscles.
Right. I think it speaks a lot too because after the first the two well after I guess technically the second surgery, you said you went back into exercise, and you're saying that
Mm.
again here, and then now you're working towards, you said, a bachelor in exercise science. So I what I am getting from you is that you want that's important to you. You want to inspire others. So for people that go through cancer, what kind of inspiration do you want to give them that go through the
I've
tumor, that go through the
always,
surgeries?
yeah. I think I haven't shied away from the fact that it's incredibly hard and it's an
Mhm.
incredible amount of stress that you get put under both physically and mentally. And for me, I think the physical aspect of it came a lot easier to me because I could see that, things weren't okay, I guess. But mentally, I think is equally, if not a bigger ball game to play of any sort of um, physical trauma you have to go through or mental trauma you have to go through or a period of really bad time where things don't go your way and you're put in a really shitty circumstance where you have no other alternative other than to keep going forward. Like that amount of stress that's put on you is an insane amount that is unfair. I wouldn't, you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy, but you
Yeah.
have no alternative but to go forward. And what I've tried to explain to both others that I speak to, whether it be brain cancer, whether it be, just getting a shoulder reconstruction done, whether it be, someone just going through a bad time or a breakup or something like that, it sucks and it hurts, even if you can't see the pain, the pain's there. And, you know, keeping on top of it's one thing, but you keep on top of it, I think, by performing and actually going out and then doing things rather than just sort of doing what I did as a kid, which is waiting for it to get better by itself. So
Mm,
it's incredibly important to stay on top of both sides of those things, and to anyone else that goes through not any sort of difficult time in their life, whether it be cancer or whether it be operations or anything like that.
mhm.
It's just you by doing the work, that's it's the only way forward, and it is possible to come out the other side. I know things do seem incredibly hard and incredibly difficult, but it is possible to come out the other side, I suppose. And to come out even better than what you were prior
Yeah.
through all your experiences and everything, through having gone through all of that, by putting in the work every single day, um, doing whatever you can, you won't second guess you sorry, not you won't second guess. That's the wrong saying there, but you won't second guess doing it is what I'm trying to say. You won't regret
Yeah.
doing it.
I think you become just kind of wiser through it, and you have a different outlook on life. Like just a
I'd say
totally different
massively,
type.
yeah.
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 That's
And I think that was I sort of touched on it a little bit, um about the mental stuff when I was 17, and I've had that massive amount of support around me, friends, family and whatnot, which has been phenomenal. But it was hard to express because I didn't have a whole lot of avenues or people to turn to that had been through something similar, or had that done. There was, particularly in the community I'm from, it's not a booming city or anything. It's a small little coastal
right.
town. So having
It's different.
people that go through depression or something, that everyone goes through some bad times or anything, but having someone that went through a cancer at a young age
Hmm.
and having to go through that rehab, that's not exactly a massive cohort of people, that have gone through anything like that. So talking to people and opening up to people was extremely hard back then. But going through that and sort of just pushing yourself and just etching forward as well, you come to realize that, not that it doesn't matter what you go through as such, but just like, you know, the way forward for a heap of other things is also the way forward that you have to go as well, which is going out physically doing things. It could just be walking outside, seeing the sun, if you something like that.
Yeah.
Something as simple as that is the ticket forward, I believe anyway.
I can see that. Yeah. I I want to jump into really kind of our last really quick topic because
Yeah, sure.
we're
We've plenty
talking
of
about
time.
it. Oh no, you're fine. We're talking about it,
Oh, really?
from
Oh, okay.
your perspective, but we're actually going to have your dad join us to kind of talk about an episode about caregiving. So, from your perspective, just kind of what message would you like to share with him and other caregivers that's supporting somebody with cancer?
I'd say
It's a
for the individual that actually goes through it, it's extremely important to sort of do the work and do the rehabilitation and keep on top of those things. As a
Mhm.
carer, your role is, it may not seem it to you most of the time, and it might not seem it to the individual you're helping out most of the time either, but your role is equally, if not more so important, as a supporting individual. I think I'd be in a much worse place without the support of my peers around me, and particularly from my dad as well. I would not be anywhere close to where I am now without my dad, being there and actually help me out, go through this whole ordeal with me. Um, being my number one fan, being my cheerleader, there says like, come on, just go a bit further, and just pushing me sort of
Wow.
out of my comfort zone and really edging me to get in that right direction. Because when you're in a slump or in a bad place, you can't always dig yourself out of there, and it's so crucial and so important that if you have some support or anything, that
Hmm.
that person that does dig them out and just really edge them in the right direction, I guess, and just like really encourage them to get up and to get moving and whatnot. Um, it's for me, it was exactly what I needed to
Yeah.
for someone to tell me to do that. And that's something that I think is incredibly important to do. Otherwise, I'd still be waiting to get better
Yeah.
after 10 years if someone didn't edge me on to that. And that person, I was lucky enough to have my dad around to be that person for me. So in in the eyes of someone that has gone through this or thinks similar to this multiple times now, carers are equally as important as the individual that's just gone through it. And it's incredibly hard on you as well in a completely different way, but
Yeah.
you have
It's
no
really
idea
working
how
as a
important you
team.
are. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's that's great. And I can't wait to talk to your dad and kind of, yeah, hear his perspective on all of it, especially as a parent in that situation too. But let's do one more question. And I always tell people,
Yeah.
don't overthink this. Go with your gut. So, if you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be? And then same for your future self.
Ooh. All right. Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it.
Um, if I was to say something to my younger self, um, going back to, that 17-year-old kid, I'd probably just say it's okay. And, I know you're scared and you're terrified and there's so much uncertainty on your shoulders right now and going through your head. You don't know what to do and you don't even know what's going on, but it's going to be okay. With the passage of time and throughout you going through all of this and going through your highs, going through your lows and making your mistakes, you're going to come out all right. You're going to come out on top and you're going to get through it. That's what, if I could go back and say something, I'd
Yeah,
just say you're going to be okay. It's going to be all right. I know you
that's
don't feel
great.
like it's going to be okay, but you're going to be okay. And to my older self, I don't know. I have no idea what I'd say to my older self. Um, the pathway that I'm trying to go down is
Mhm.
not only, I guess, advocacy or anything like that, but more so trying to help people to guide them in the right direction is what I'm really trying to do now, and just sort of say like, hey, I've done this, you can do this. That's what I'm trying to get
Yeah.
out. And if I could say something to my older self, I'd probably just say like, I hope you really tried to do
Mhm.
that and really tried to get your voice out there. And I hope you're still trying to walk down a similar road of trying to help others.
I think you're doing that without really even realizing that you're doing it. And I think that's the most amazing part is just talking to you. And that's why I always like to ask this question because I always like to see people realize how far they have come in life when they say,
Mm,
"What would I ask my younger person?" Just to be like, you did this. You made it. And then really when you learn from your younger self, what are you going to take that to do when you get older? And you're doing that. You're doing that because the exercise part. You
mm,
experience the lowest of lows that you could probably experience, and you're taking that. So that connection, once you get that degree, once you go out, that connection that you're going to make with people is going to be a different type of connection that a lot of people won't be able to have.
yeah,
So I think it's amazing what you're going to be doing.
yeah. And the road that I'm on now, I'm 29 years old. Um, I'm just starting this course at university of
Hmm.
a Bachelor of Exercise Science, where I'm hoping it's going to lead um, in a few years' time is going down the exact road which I'm going to, and I hope I've set myself up in a way to go down that road and to help other people the way that I was helped and what I wish I would have got as well. So
I mean, that
I
too.
guess
Yeah.
making some tweaks and then maybe it's I maybe I'll come across some other 17-year-old kid one day who's had you know gone through that whole ordeal that I went and is just feeling scared and alone and whatnot. And, I can tell them that it's going to be okay. You're going to be all right.
I think you're going to do just fine. Well, Ryan, thank you so much, for sharing your story. You went deep with it, and I'm sure almost in a way it's therapeutic to even like talk about it at the same time. Um, but, you know, just thank you because I think your story is going to touch a lot of people. But, where if somebody wants to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Oh, thanks for having me too, just quickly as well. No, it's been a pleasure to be here. I mentioned before that I did pop up a lot of my stuff on YouTube and any social media platform. So just Ryan Vest on Facebook and then on I think YouTube, TikTok, and then Instagram. My handle is all Vesty too.
And
So
I'll
it's
put
just
it
my
in the
last
show
name with a
notes
Y.
too
So yeah,
for we can link
yeah,
it in the show notes. I'll get that make sure I spell everything right and the links work. But yeah, thank you again and thank you for listening to the Fitness and Family podcast. If you haven't already, make sure you follow for all new episodes and I will talk to you later. All right,
sweet.
bye.
Thanks for having me.